Room is a thrilling and emotional drama about a young mother and her son who have been held captive for several years in a small shed which they call Room. It stars Brie Larson and Jacob Tremblay and is directed by Lenny Abrahamson, and it is without a doubt one of the best movies of 2015 and my personal favorite. It was nominated for several Academy Awards and it won one in the Best Actress category. Despite this, a lot of people still haven't seen Room, as it's being outshined by other movies such as The Revenant and Spotlight and Mad Max Fury Road. But I really think everyone should watch this incredible movie, so I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should watch Room. There will be no spoilers in this video because I want everyone to see this movie with fresh eyes and to just not really know what to expect. I personally think it's better to go into this movie blind, so some of the things I might be saying will be a little less detailed just to avoid spoilers. Let's get started. Number 1, the acting and directing are both phenomenal. While it's kind of a given nowadays that any acting and directing in any movie should be good, I think Room really stands out in both of these categories for multiple reasons. Brie Larson, who plays the mother, took my breath away in this movie. This isn't the first movie I've seen her in. She's also been in a lot of smaller roles, but this was, I think, one of her first really big serious roles other than Short Term 12, which came out in 2013. Something was different about Room. The way she portrayed the mother made me feel so emotional for so many different reasons. I just couldn't help but want to just hug her character. She goes through so much, and it's so apparent through Brie Larson's acting, and as a result, you just can't help but feel so bad for her. You just root for her so badly, and you want her to have a good outcome in the end. Brie Larson took home her first Oscar for Best Picture for that role this year, and it was extremely well deserved. However, Jacob Tremblay, who plays Jack, the son, was equally as impressive, if not more. Tremblay was only 8 years old when filming this movie. I mean, I'm 19 and I can barely act. Like an 8-year-old, that's just incredible. He outshined everyone in this movie just because he was so young. Things he had to do, they were not easy for a little kid actor. It's not too hard to find someone young to play silly comedic roles, or maybe just like that annoying kid in a movie. But Room is different. The situation these two characters are in, it's disturbing and it's horrifying to think about. The fact that Jacob Tremblay was able to act so terrifically in this role just blew me away. Side note, he was totally snubbed of an Oscar nomination this year. I mean, what gives? I don't understand. He was so good. I don't understand what is wrong with the Academy. Jake Gyllenhaal was snubbed last year. Idris Elba was snubbed this year too. I could rant on about this for a while, so let's just move on. Larson and Tremblay were both terrific as standalone characters, but the movie really focuses on the mother and son's relationship, and as a result, their chemistry had to be important, and it was very good. It's just absolutely undeniable. You can tell these characters care and love about each other so much. You would never guess that they're just acting. It's pretty clear throughout the movie that they both need each other's support in order to carry on. I think the relationship truly made the whole movie just much better, and if the acting wasn't good, the movie wouldn't have been as strong, but luckily, the acting was really good. Larson and Tremblay both offer spectacular performances that would just move you to tears. I'm a crier, so I cried a lot during this movie. That was kind of a given. But the way they perform the things that these actors have to go through and the emotional responses that they convey, they're just so strong and powerful that you just can't help but get emotional when you watch. The supporting characters are also great, but just to avoid spoilers, I won't say anything more than that. As far as the directing, Lenny Abrahamson killed it. He was top-notch in this movie, and the fact that they just had so much small space to work with, and they were still able to capture this claustrophobic space but make it seem as if it was like a home to these two characters, that's just amazing. The viewer can get such a claustrophobic feeling just by watching this movie, and it's just, when you think about it, it's like Ma and Jack, they have to live through this every single day, and it's been like this for years. I complain about having a small room in a house. This is their home. Because the acting is so strong, it's just so easy to empathize and sympathize with these two characters. Even though they're going through so much, as you watch the movie, their relationship is so strong that it makes everything better. Abrahamson successfully depicts Jack's childlike point of view, which is what this beautiful narrative is being told from. I think that makes it better because you can kind of get a sense of his young and naive viewpoint and view of this unknown outside world. That kind of leads into number 2. So number 2, the screenplay is excellent, and the dialogue carries the film. The screenplay is written by Emma Donoghue, who also wrote the book. Hey, what do you know? And I think because Emma herself wrote the screenplay, she had a really good vision for how she wanted to make her book into a film, and as a result, it's very good. So I kind of said this earlier, but the screenplay is told mainly from Jack's perspective. I think telling the story from Jack's point of view just makes the story much stronger because it's as if you, the viewer, are experiencing things for the first time just like Jack is. As a result, it just makes everything a different experience because if you were seeing things from the mom's perspective, for example, things would probably be a little scarier, a little bit more intense, and the movie is already very scary and horrifying, but from Jack's perspective, you get this naivety to it, and it just makes you view things differently. The dialogue is very strong between Ma and Jack. It's very clear, like I said earlier, that their relationship is strong, but the way they communicate with each other is really key. The fact that Ma raised Jack all by herself in this super small shed is just amazing, and you have to think about it because it's like the way she raises him is very vital to how he grows up and develops and behaves. This all kind of ties together because when you think about what Ma had to go through and what Ma had to do in order to raise Jack, it just makes you more sympathetic for them. And the dialogue just helps further this even more because the things they say to each other, it can get really emotional, and just some of the lines that when I think about them again, it's like, man, that was good. It's hard to talk about this without going into spoilers, like I said earlier, which is why this video is kind of hard to make. Just, again, the screenplay is really good. Speaking of the screenplay, this kind of ties in with number 3, which is that the story is realistic and honest. The story of Room is fictional, but it's quite obvious that it's based on real-life events that have been happening, which is scary. The book was based on the Fritzl case, which I think is the most famous case recorded about someone being held captive for several years. And in this case, the woman was held captive for over 20 years. Just think about that for a second. I'm 19. I'm not even 20 yet. She was captive for over 20 years. I can't fathom that. I literally can't because I haven't been alive for that long. It's just so heartbreaking to know that these things do happen, and when you watch this movie, it makes you realize how horrific the reality of it is. We live in a scary world, and bad things happen to good people. This movie really touches on an important subject. The things that Ma and Jack go through are very realistic. I don't think this movie kind of softens it at all. The only way it does soften it is by telling it from Jack's perspective. But otherwise, it's a very honest story because the things they do, the things they go through, the way they behave, stuff like that, it all makes sense given their circumstances. You can't help but watch this movie and think afterwards. When I left the theater after watching this, my mind was just, I couldn't process things and I couldn't think because I had so much going on in my head. I just couldn't believe it. It made me think about this disturbing reality that we live in. I thought about this movie for weeks after watching it for the first time. I couldn't stop talking about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. That's just what this kind of movie has an effect on people because the story is so realistic in a sad way that you can't help but wonder, like, wow, these things happen. And that ties in to number 4, which is that this movie makes you feel so grateful and hopeful. It's just such a good feeling, you know? Don't get me wrong. I love sad movies. That doesn't sound like a very good thing to say. Because these characters are just going through something that it's hard to grasp because hopefully everyone watching this, they didn't live that kind of life because they've gone through more than I can ever imagine. it just made me feel so grateful for the life that I have. I couldn't help but just feel hopeful after watching it too. The main message of this movie is a message of hope. I think this message is delivered very strongly in this movie. If these characters don't have hope, what's the point? Obviously, everyone goes through hardship, but if you just think about your life and compare it to the people who have been held captive in a place for years, it's just mind-boggling, and I can't imagine it. It just makes me so thankful for the things I have, the people I have in my life, my family, my friends. This movie, while very heart-wrenching, is also very heartwarming. I think that's what I love most about this movie. It has a really good mix of everything. It's thrilling, emotional, dramatic, and at times it's even pretty funny. And finally, number 5, the score is fantastic in this movie. Stephen Rennicks, who composed all the music for Room, he did such a good job on this soundtrack. Something I've noticed within the past couple years of me watching movies is I really take note of original compositions for music. For example, The Theory of Everything, that's probably like my favorite soundtrack, but Room now is a really close second. The music that was made for this movie is really well done, and it really fits the tone that this movie is trying to capture. One song that was used in this movie is a really famous song called Mighty Rio Grande, which is also used in Moneyball. The way it was used in this movie was just so good. It fit what the scene was trying to capture so well. Honestly, just hearing certain songs from this movie, just like when I'm studying or something, it'll make me emotional just by hearing it, which is really saying something. And there have been multiple times where I'm hearing a song and I want to cry. Again, I'm a crier, but I just think that the score for this movie was superb and extremely well done. So major props to Stephen Rennicks. And those are my 5 reasons why you should go out and watch Room. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and my goal is to at least convince one person to go watch this movie. So if you do, please let me know in the comments below. And if you've already seen this movie, also let me know in the comments. But again, please avoid spoilers. Please do yourself a favor, go watch Room. It's a fantastic movie, and I really wish more people were watching it. In fact, you know what? I'll even throw in a 6th reason why you should go watch Room. It's not The Room. Major difference there. Alright, thank you guys for watching.